To create a Google form, you need to start in your Google Drive. On the left-hand side, you see your red New button. When you click on that, you need to then click on More, and then choose Google Forms. This will open up a new Google form for you. The first thing you want to do is give your form a title. I'm going to call mine Test Form. And you'll see that when I click on the form title down here, it automatically updated it. Just like with other Google products, every change you make is automatically saved in your Google Drive, so you don't have to worry about a save button. You can then add a description to your form, and then you can start to add questions. Google Forms automatically has one question in the form for you. When you click on it, you want to replace Untitled Question with the question that you would like to ask. You can choose from a variety of question types. There's short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, linear scale, multiple choice grid, date, and time. For questions like first and last name, I want to choose short answer, and then my question is created. To add another question, I can either click on the plus button on the right hand side, or I can duplicate the question that I've just created in case I have similar questions that just need a few words changed. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Add Question button, and you'll notice that a fresh question is added. This one's going to be a multiple choice question. To change each of the options, I simply click on the option and change the text. If I'd like to add another option, I click Add Option, or I can just hit the Enter or Return key and it'll add another option for me. There's also an option to add Other, which will allow users to fill in the blank with something that is not indicated in the multiple choice area. If I ever mess up on a question and I'd like to just delete it, I can use the trash can on the question and it'll delete just that question for me. I can choose to have questions be required. For instance, if I were using this as a test for my students, I would want to require that they provide their name, and I would require that they put their grade level. You can choose to require or not require any number of questions in your Google form. In this menu where you can add your questions, you'll also see options to add a title and description if you're adding another section, which we'll get to in a minute. You can add images, you can add videos, and you can add another section. I'm going to go ahead and add another section, and you'll see that it's created a new section for me. I've added a title and a description, and now I'd like to add a video to this section. So I'm going to click Add Video, and you see that you can search YouTube, or if you already have a YouTube video selected, you can paste the URL to the video there. I'm going to do a search. Click on the search icon, and I looked for crazy cats, so I'm just going to choose the first one here and click select. That video is now embedded in my Google form. Here I can add a title for my video or some directions. I can choose to center my video to make it look better. And if I ever need to change my video, I click on Change. And I can choose a new video. Now I'd like to add a title and description rather than a new section. This is where you can provide your users with specific directions for a set of questions. And then again, I can add some new questions. I can also add images to my Google form, This comes in very handy if you have, say, math problems that are hard to replicate in a Google form. You can add images of those problems. When I click on Add Image, I have the option to upload a video, take a snapshot with my webcam, insert the URL of an image, search through your albums, search through your Google Drive, and just do a search on Google. I'm going to do an image search for dog, and I can search through the images that come up on Google. I also have the option of changing where I search. I can look at life or stock photos. Please note that any images that you search for using Google Forms do have the appropriate copyright clearance for you to be able to use them. Once I've found an image I'd like to use, I click on it and then hit select. The image is placed in my Google form. Again, I can center it just like the video, and I can add a title. I'm going to scroll back up to the top for just a moment. In the bottom right hand corner of the question, you'll see 3 dots. When you click on that, you have the option to show a description, so you could give directions for the question. You can go to a section based on an answer, and you can shuffle the option order. One reason you may wish to shuffle the option order is so that if multiple students are taking an exam, they'll have different questions and different answers appear in different parts of the test. If I click on Go to Section based on answer, I can choose to go to a different section of my form based on what grade level they were in, for example, if I were using this question. In your Google Forms, you have the option of changing the appearance. If you click on Color Palette, you can choose a solid color, or if you click on the image icon in the bottom right hand side, you can choose from any number of the pre-formatted themes, or you can upload your own photos or search your own albums. I'm going to choose a birthday party theme and click select, and then you'll see that it is applied to my form. Next to the palette button, you'll see a preview button that looks like an eye. When you click on that, you can see what your live form is going to look like for your users. Next to the eye is your settings, your gear, and this one is super important. If you're using a school Google Apps for Education account, it automatically sets it to anybody in your school can respond. If you plan to send this out to the public, you want to click on that and change it to anyone. You can also check the option that respondents can only submit one response, but that does require you to be logged into an account. You can create a customized confirmation page. You then have the option of showing whether the students can submit another response, edit the response, or see a summary of responses. I typically uncheck all of those boxes. Other options include showing a progress bar and shuffling the question order. Make sure you click Save to any changes that you've made. In the upper right hand corner, you'll see 3 dots. When you click on that, you have the option to make a copy of your form, move it to a folder, move it to the trash, get a pre-filled link, print it, add collaborators if more than one person should be working on a form. Please be sure not to use this button when you're trying to get your students to take their form. There's also a script editor and add-ons. When your form is complete, it's time to send it to those you'd like to have respond to it. To do that, you click on Send. You then have the option of sending it by email, getting a link to the form, or getting an embed code so you can embed it on a website. If you're going to use the link option, I recommend using the shorten URL option, which gives you a much shorter URL to share with your students. If you choose to send by email, you can simply put the email of the recipients in, create a subject line and a message, and you can choose to include the form in the email. When all of those parts are filled out, you can click Send and it will be delivered right to their inbox. Once people have responded to your Google form, there are two ways to look at the responses. Here's a form I sent out to my faculty regarding database and software services that we use. When I click on responses, I can look at my responses as a summary, so I can see who's responded, and then I see these fantastic graphs and charts to show me what the most popular responses are. Multiple choice questions will show up as pie charts. I also have the option of looking at individual responses, which will show me what each individual responded to each question. To navigate those, I use the next response arrow. I can also print individual responses and delete them. I can turn my form on and off. At some point, I may decide I don't want anyone else to respond. I simply click on accepting responses and the form gets turned off. Here, leave a message that says the form is no longer accepting responses, which I can customize based on my situation. When I click on this green icon, a spreadsheet is created of all of my form responses. This sometimes makes it easier to track who has said what to each of the questions. Three dots in the responses area allow a few more things for your form. You can get email notifications every time there's a new response. You can change the spreadsheet the responses go to. You can unlink your form from your spreadsheet. You can download your response as a CSV. You can print all responses, or you could delete all responses if you want a clean form.